Greetings from Castle Goring, from Nikki, Aurora, and from me. Before I plunge in with all of the nitty-gritty, I have to share something with you. I have been recently to two wonderful events, which I am going to ask Sean to post the details of at the end of this. But I'll just give you a little indication of what's going to come at the end. The first one was the book launch of Harriet Cullen's book, Lady Pamela Berry, Her Mother. Lady Pamela Berry was one of the great hostesses of the 20th century. She was the famous Lord Birkenhead's daughter, and she married the Honourable Michael Berry, who owned the Telegraph and created the Sunday Telegraph. And she was a real power in her day. And there are some really very interesting bits that indicate to what extent she wielded power. And also, she had a very interesting and very modern take on life, which I'm not going to go into now, but if you won't read the book, it's really worth reading because it shows what Britain was like in the first, say, 3/4 of the last century, and how she played her hand so well. And some of the insights are very, very good politically. There's actually one really rather funny line of Sir Ronald Tree, whose daughter is Penelope Tree, the famous model. He and his wife, Marietta Peabody, go back to America when the Labour government came into power here in the 60s. And so they uprooted and went to the United States. Marietta Peabody was American, had been a Conservative MP, and they are at a very grand dinner party in New York. They being him with Louis Douglas, who was the post-war US ambassador to the court of St. James's, and whose daughter Sharman was a good friend of Princess Margaret's, and in fact, after whom my younger sister is named. And so Louis Douglas says to Ronnie Tree, how is it that you're over here supporting the American version of the Labour Party, that is the Democrat Party, when you effectively fled from Britain to protect your fortune, and now that you've managed to restore it in the United States, you're voting for and trying to get elected our version of the Labour Party, and they stopped speaking. It's filled with anecdotes and vignettes like that. And the other really interesting thing has been the exhibition at the Mall Galleries of Bushra Fakhoury and Mal Fustock's works. She is one of Britain's foremost sculptresses. She is the one who did Dunamis, that was outside on the North Lawn at Castle Goring for 5 years. That wonderful sculpture of the man holding up the elephant. And he is a fine painter, and they had an exhibition which ran from the 7th to the 11th, so it ends today, sadly, at the Mall Galleries. And I'm going to show some of the photographs and little videos that were taken of it. Just fabulous. So now we will plunge in with the matter at hand, which is, and I have to tell you, I am just so pleased to accept this award on my behalf. This award from myself to me, because I'm a wonderful humanitarian. And didn't I look fabulous the other evening when I was accepting the award with my husband? Oh, that dinky little award, you know, the one where we're Humanitarians of the Year. Oh, wasn't it just wonderful? I actually looked fabulous, didn't you think? I mean, my hair was a little bit frizzy, but then I didn't manage to get it straightened, so hate to say, but the roots were showing, and not these roots in terms of dye, but roots in terms of frizz. If I continue at this rate, I'm gonna have to have an afro like my mom used to have. And, or maybe I should do braids. Do you think I should do braids? But I will say one thing. Meghan's trouser suit fitted. A miracle. She's actually worn something that fitted properly. I mean, can you believe it? How is it possible? Well, I think you will find it's possible occasionally, but I will read out with what Linda says. Despite their blatant hatefulness and self-serving, the Harkles continue, big block capitals, to be offered awards which they continue to accept because they deem themselves worthy of these awards, big block capitals. I believe the real story here isn't that it happened again, but who is giving the award and why? For instance, who decided Harry should get the Legends of Aviation Award when he is nothing of the kind? And what was the organization's motivation for making the award a punchline, etc.? Linda, sorry. I mean, you've got to be racist. I mean, how could you doubt that I gave the award to myself? I mean, honestly, Linda, really, your cynicism is just awful. I mean, how did they get the award? My hand scratches your back and your hand scratches mine. You need to understand one thing. Project Healthy Minds is not a charity. Project Healthy Minds is basically a company in British terms. It is a non-profit along the lines of Archewell, but it is not a charity. It has a NIAC code, that is North American Industry Classification Systems code. It has more than one NIAC code. There is the Code for Civic and Social Organizations, which is 813410. There are other codes, but I don't need to list them. The point is, it's not a charity. And Harry and Meghan are in a business with them. This is not what they would like us to believe it is. This is flagrant promotion one of the other. And let us remember that Harry and Meghan's agenda is censorship. They are trying to get a stranglehold on the various aspects of the internet, where they will exert a stranglehold on the information that would be accessible to minors. It's really simple. I don't know why anybody hasn't thought of it, or if they thought of it, why they haven't actually just come out and said it. It's really simple. If parents do not wish to regulate their children's consumption of information via the phones that the children are given, all that needs to be done is the phone companies, the people who make the phones, simply have phones for children that don't have access to certain things. It couldn't be simpler. We do not need censorship when there's a whole load of money to be made out of any company that comes up with manufacturing phones that are specific to children. So I make that point for what it's worth. Peace of Mind says, it would be very interesting to find out who nominated the duo for the Humanitarian Award. Oh, there's no mystery there, my dear. They did it themselves. In Archewell and this project Healthy Minds, they are in business together. Their business is making money and also gaining influence and thereby power using mental health as the vehicle. And let's not forget that Meghan and Harry, those wonderful humanitarians, have done more than any couple you or I can think of to damage the mental health of both their families. And indeed, they have set themselves up as prime examples of what personality disorder is all about. They are abject, living tableau vivant lessons as to what dysfunctional, rather ill, in my opinion, human beings are all about. And I mean, if Harry and Meghan had got an award for, say, destroying families, that would have made sense, but they didn't. They got an award for contributing to mental health. I mean, the whole thing is farcical. But also, Project Healthy Minds is a tiny company. I'll tell you exactly what it is. I have the figures here. Its total revenues in the last published accounts that I ran across were $2,612,624. Their total expenses, wait for it, were $1,458,522. So their total assets were $4,272,350. 6 employees. So out of a revenues of $2.5 million, let's ballpark it, they have expenses of $1.5 million. How much are those 6 people on? I mean, but it's all perfectly legal. And let's not forget, America is the country that has shown everybody the way for charity, in quotes, which is not charity at all, to be capitalized upon, to make rich people richer and make anybody who wants to pretend to be charitable appear as if they are a genuine philanthropist, when on the contrary, they are simply merching. It's nothing but rank hypocrisy. Cinder says, with all the humanitarian awards and still no adoration from the public. Very well spotted. People are mightily sick and tired of Harry and Meghan and their games because people have seen through them. However, they are still providing fodder for the media. And there has been a big push, and there's going to continue to be a big push for Harry and Meghan to continue to establish themselves as heavyweight philanthropic royals in the United States. They are pushing for all it's worth the notion that they are actually a counterweight to the Prince and Princess of Wales. I mean, sorry, pigs really do need to fly. Sorry. PQR says, Lady C, would it be fair to say that Meghan and Harry are trying to compete with William using mental health? Today, Mental Health Day, we've seen, could you please compare the video Kensington Palace released to mark World Mental Health Day, Prince William's interview? It's a very confused question, sorry. It seems to be a little bit one or two words missing. So I'll just plunge in with, yes. Yesterday was World Mental Health Day. And William, of course, did a very touching interview, which had been taped before, with a very, very nice woman called Rhian Mannings at her house in South Wales. It was taped a little while ago. She and her husband lost their baby, and he then was so distraught that he terminated himself. We have to be careful how we put these things on YouTube. Leaving her with 2 children, and as she said, they would have been able to get through it had he just opened up. Well, as some of you might know, I was an ambassador for one of the charities that was set up by, along in the same forum, shall we say, as the subject we are discussing, which is termination of life by self. And it's called SOS Silence of Something Side. It was set up by the very eminent British Casey Michael Mansfield and his wife Yvette Greenaway Mansfield, as a result of his daughter having done that 10 years ago. And it was a wonderful charity. And I was at something the other day for it at Warwick Castle, and the sadness is palpable And William, who's clearly very empathetic, was fighting back tears. And I have to tell you, you can almost touch the sadness in surrounding this issue. And so I'm not surprised that William was fighting back tears. I had to fight back tears when whenever I had any interaction with the people who had lost their loved ones to this matter. And William and Catherine and Harry set up, if you remember, they set up a charity, Heads Together, I think it was called. Really, it was Catherine who was the proponent, because Catherine's brother suffered from depression. He wrote a book about it, so nobody's telling tales out of school. And Catherine and William are the ones who got Harry into encouraging him into seeking treatment for his clear mental ill health. He later on credited Meghan with having done it, having previously credited William and Catherine because he went and sought treatment before he ever met Meghan, but he completely ignored that. But Meghan and Harry are clinging on to this for all it's worth, because not only have they inveigled their way into the mental health issue in the United States of America through Archewell, but they have set themselves up as experts on the subject, notwithstanding the fact neither one is an expert on the subject. They have no personal experience of mental health. They have a lot of experience of mental illness and certainly of personality, the display of personality disorders, but they have no real, shall we say, identifiable or obvious claim to being authorities on mental health. But they are beating that drum because it also militates in their favor in terms of censorship of the media. So that's their objective. Through this medium, they are going to try to control the media. William, it's a totally different matter with William and Catherine. They are sincere and genuine, and she certainly has experience as a result of her brother. But they both have experience of suffering, and they both have experience of mental health, because they are both mentally healthy. You can't say the same for Harry and Meghan. So their claims to being authorities on something that they don't represent and couldn't possibly represent is farcical. But they are both brothers on either side of the Atlantic are going to be slugging it out. But I tell you, ultimately, William will succeed, because people will ultimately go with the power. They're not going to go with the ramshackle grifters. So let's put it that way. Joanna Fisek says, there's some rumor that Meghan might have left Harry. Could this be true? I'm afraid not. Meghan's not leaving Harry until Elon Musk or some such figure proposes. She's not leaving Harry. And whenever there are severe problems, as there were, she reels him back in. And I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. I've witnessed the dynamic in my own parents' marriage. A weak man with a dominant, really rather malignant, very self-centered and very opportunistic and egotistical woman. And the man is capable of love, but the woman is not. Now, I think Harry is capable of obsession, and what he has the Hanoverian tendency to excessive limerence, which means they fall too much in love. And this is a Hanoverian trait that is traceable through the Hanoverian line. Queen Victoria suffered from it. Several of the others, the Duke of Windsor suffered from it. George VI suffered from it. Harry suffers from it. So she's not left him. It was obvious the other evening that she hasn't left him. Yeah, the marriage is rocky, but I have said all along, when people put bets on the fact that it's going to break up, I know from my own parents' marriage that a narcissistic, dark triad personality with a man who thinks because he's masculine, he's a big man, when he's actually a little beta pussy. That's what he is, a little pussycat, a little beta pussy, otherwise called in Jamaica a mampalo, a sort of man who thinks he's, when in fact he's, not that he's gay, not saying, implying that he's gay, but weak and pathetic. B.F. says, Lady C, what do you make of Tom Sykes' report on the King's health? Well, as you might know, the King and the Prince of Wales attended something the other evening together. And they presented a very united front. And they made it absolutely clear that they are on the same page in terms of all important matters, which was a very necessary message to deliver, especially in the light of the questions that have been asked as to whether the relationship between father and son is rockier than it appears to be, or whether they have respectful but divergent opinions. And Tom, who has excellent sources and who is very well informed, and I mean, he's a friend of mine, so I think I have to come clean on that point. But if I don't agree with a friend, I'm very happy to say I don't agree with a friend. But his report on the King's health is basically sound and solid. But we need to be aware of the fact that what Tom is really objecting to is that the palace line is to ignore the fact that the King's health is perpetually in jeopardy as a result of his illness. and that the fiction that he is in robust good health but just has a little inconvenient thing called cancer should be dealt with in a more responsible way. Now, Tom was booted out of the WhatsApp circle by Tobin Andre, who is the King's communications secretary, because Tom dared to say that the King's cancer was incurable. And Tom has made it absolutely clear that he is of the firm opinion that this was done not particularly to punish him, so much as to be a warning to all of the others in the group, the Rota correspondents, that they should avoid the subject of the King's health altogether. Actually, Tom and I both are in accord in terms of the fact that the King could, if his treatment continues to respond as favourably as it has been, I should say, he has been responding to treatment as favourably as he has been, he could last for years with a bit of luck. But the fact of the matter is that anybody who knows anything about cancer knows that it could fail at any moment. And Tom is of the opinion that it would be more constructive for the palace to not do its ostrich number, but to be a little bit more in tune with the King himself, who came out with the fact that he was ill. And Tom knows what I know because I told him what I know, and we've discussed the whole matter, and there's little doubt that Tom is knowledgeable as knowledgeable as I am about the situation, because, as I say, we speak. And he is, first of all, in this country, you're actually prevented from, if you are a member of the press, from reporting upon details of someone's health without their permission. So the details are not going to emerge. I'm actually a biographer. In some ways, what I am doing in terms of my channel affords me journalistic privilege, but I am not first and foremost a journalist. And basically, you can't fire me. So, nobody can fire me. So if I wanted to come right out and sing like a bird, I would be able to, but I choose not to. But I think Tom isn't trying to violate the King's privacy. He's simply, also I think he's quite rightly, his nose is a little bit out of joint by the way Tobin Andre has behaved towards him. And it's not gonna make Tom suffer, because Tom doesn't need to be on the WhatsApp group. Tom, like me, we get our information from beyond, let's put it that way, beyond the level that royal correspondents normally function at. Hence why he and I have been able to come out with scoop after scoop after scoop after scoop consistently. So I hope that answers the question. And on that note, I'll say thank you very much for listening. I hope that you have found this enjoyable. Please ask questions in the comments section, or just comment. I love the comments. And I know that so do a lot of the community. Thank you so much. Take good care and Godspeed.
مطعم لحالي